Hey, welcome to my Figuring It Out playlist where I basically talk about everything that my husband and I are doing as we figure out how to live in the Philippines. Now I've got my Christmas jammies on and I'm letting the Christmas tree sparkle one last time before everything gets put away. So I thought this is the perfect time to do a reflection video of the past year or the first year living in the Philippines. Now one thing that I do is I always pick two words for the upcoming year. And in 2023, the two words that I chose, optimistic and patience. Optimistic and patience. And throughout the year, one word becomes far more important than another. It's like, which word do I rely on the most to help me refocus and live with intention? The word patience definitely rose to the top in 2023 because in the spring of that year, it didn't look like we were going to make it to the Philippines. The summer of that year, it didn't look like we were going to make it. But November 2023, we did make it to the Philippines, and it took a lot of patience and getting through those moments of frustration and being annoyed and just questioning what was happening, to be able to rely on the word, having the patience of knowing it's going to happen, really helped me through 2023. Now in 2024, my two words, appreciate and belong. Now I'm going to focus on one word, the word belong. I chose that word for 2024 because I thought dual citizenship was going to be the thing that would help me feel like I was truly Filipino, that I truly belonged somewhere. I mean, when you're adopted, it creates an imbalance sometimes because you don't, well, for me, when you don't look like everybody else and you don't really have a DNA connection with anybody else, and a lot of the things that you do doesn't necessarily match anybody else in the family. I will say, growing up, I was constantly searching to feel like I belonged somewhere. So I thought for 2024, now living in the Philippines, that the word belong would be the perfect word for me to choose. I will say, connecting it to events that happened last year, I was told 3 times I could not be a dual citizen. And I ended up hiring a visa agency to then tell me the 4th time that I could not be a dual citizen. So we spent a lot of money to hear a response that I already knew. I will say, emotionally, it's something that I did need to do. I needed to feel like I did everything I possibly could to become a permanent resident. And I thought dual citizenship was it. November 2024, we became permanent residents with our 13G visa. But I will tell you, I did not truly become Filipino, or feeling like I was Filipino until Christmas Day, like this past week. Because, and this might be a little odd to say, but because I sang karaoke for the very first time in front of neighbors and strangers and having it blasted all over the neighborhood. And I know I'm getting teary-eyed over this and a little emotional because karaoke scares the crap out of me. But if I had to compare working on my dual citizenship and singing karaoke, and which one made me feel the most the sense of belonging somewhere, singing karaoke did it. And I cannot believe how much it transformed me in feeling that sense of belonging. I still kind of have to figure out why I feel so emotional about it, but it, for me, from what I am now, what I think it means, and why it gave me such a sense of belonging, seeing that was, number one, I had to be very vulnerable, doing something I never thought I would do in front of people that I really didn't know. And also feeling the level of acceptance and love and caring and just a sense of joy of, like, no judgment. Absolute no judgment. And just having fun, spending time together. It was like the best feeling that I have ever had, feeling like a sense of, I guess, belonging, feeling Filipino, that I ever have since arriving in the Philippines. It seems so odd to me, and I know I'm going to have to still kind of work through why I just feel so emotional about it, but I don't know, but surprisingly, belong did not end up being the word for the year 2024. The word appreciate did, and it's because my husband and I have been through so many things, from New Year's Eve 2023 and his phone is stolen, to me singing karaoke in front of a bunch of strangers, getting blasted all over the neighborhood. We appreciated every single roller coaster ride that we've been on since we've been here. We've learned so much about living in a new country, living through sickness and in health, and all of the craziness that we needed to figure out when we had no clue what to do. I appreciate every single lesson that we've learned this year. And I think it's made us better people, closer as a couple, because we've had to rely on one another so much. From having really difficult conversations about how we handled a situation or didn't handle the situation. I feel like our communication skills, which since we've known each other, has always improved throughout, every single year we've been together. But when you only have each other to rely on to get you through the roller coaster ride of living in another country, you really have, it's either going to make or break you. If you don't have strong communication skills, it's either going to tear you apart or it's going to bring you closer together. And I just so appreciate the fact that because we already had strong communication skills to start with, that it just has even gotten us closer together as a couple because of everything that we've gone through. And I appreciate every single ebb and flow throughout this year. It truly is amazing to me what we've gone through and had to figure out, and that when we celebrated, it's just a heartfelt celebration that I cannot get over and just so appreciate. I will say, though, that there are some things that, and I don't live a life of regret, neither one of us do, that we would have thought about it a little bit differently. Definitely not going for dual citizenship for a fourth time, contacting my grandma maybe even sooner, sending the postcards sooner, figuring out the whole mailing system which that, I'm sure I don't have that mastered, but at least I have enough of it. Sending the postcards sooner, but at least communicating through family and friends. Hopefully that'll give me some peace that, so I can move forward without feeling like I should have done that sooner. But one thing is hanging on to things that's in a storage unit in Detroit. Being here, you start realizing what you really need. What you really need to be able to feel like you belong somewhere, that you can actually make it successfully. It's not things. It's definitely not things. And some of those things in the storage unit, I can definitely see we can get rid of. Other things, I still have an emotional attachment to. They're photo albums, they're mementos. There may be certain things, ornaments that I would put on my tree every year because it would remind me. Like I have my Taco Tuesday crew here, and then I have my one that reminds me of the beach. My sister has the same ornament. I mean, there's things there that I've had pretty much my entire life. Some of the things when I was a kid. And I will still treasure, and I think those are the things that I will send over in a Balik buy-in box. But there's a lot of things that's in a storage unit that I can just buy here. I don't need to hang on to. And I got rid of 95% of my stuff already before moving here, and I can see it was the last 5% that I was hanging on to. And I can see I can get rid of a bunch of that stuff now, which is a good feeling, because for 2025, my 2 words, cultivate and intentional, and making sure that the things that we have around us will cultivate the things that we value the most, and that we truly live with intention. That we're not adding all the crap that we had in the United States to bring it over to the Philippines. We did not come to the Philippines to carry over all the stuff that we had in the United States. We turn on the news, we watch YouTube, and we see the news, it's stuff that's happening in the United States. We got away from that. I feel safe here. I feel my husband safe. I feel the mental weight that we felt while we lived in the United States has lifted off of our shoulders, that we just don't have to worry about a bunch of stuff that we did have to worry about back then. Are there things we still have a little bit anxiety over? Yes, I'll have videos about that. But to feel weightless, to feel that there are things that we don't have to worry about anymore, it's just a good feeling. Now, okay, so I'll share. There are some things that we need to get accustomed to, and I'm sure I'm going to talk about this in a future video, but I'll share one thing. So for Christmas, my husband and I decided we weren't sharing anything for Christmas. Nothing for Christmas. Honestly, if we want it, we just get it. Christmas isn't about the presents. If we do community service, like my sister and I, we don't exchange gifts. We do community service in honor of the other. So there you go. That's perfect. Nobody has to add more crap onto their list of stuff. I might overload my tree with a bunch of stuff that help remind me of things, and I am so excited to have all of those things showcased starting in September. But I don't need boxes of stuff in a closet that I might forget about anyway. So circling back, we promised, my husband and I, we weren't exchanging gifts. I broke that promise, And here's why. I know I'm justifying it in a video, but I wrote the premise. Okay, he's annoyed with me. I'm using annoyed. I started off using upset earlier. He's not upset. He's just annoyed with me. But once he opened up his gift, the annoyance just kind of drifted away. No big deal. So one of the things that I had gotten my husband for Christmas was syrup. I found syrup. This is like, I took 2 trips to Mall of Asia by myself just because I would go to Chicago to go have lunch. I lived in West Michigan, Kalamazoo, Michigan, and I would just travel to Chicago or Detroit or Lansing or Grand Rapids or whatever. I love to go and do something. I would do it by myself, or I would do it with friends. And then, you know, I don't need my husband attached to my hip to go do stuff. So, while in the Philippines, my very first trip on multiple buses, trikes, was to go to Mall of Asia by myself and get syrup for my husband. Yes, imported syrup. No, I could not find it anywhere in Lipa. I needed to go to Manila to get it. My husband has a palate that's more of an American palate, and I'm not saying that I don't. I do, but his preference for American tastes, and I think I'll have to do a video about the food, but I am more accepting and interested to just sample everything. I'm excited about that. My husband's not so much. So for me to show up with syrup, and not Filipino syrup, but syrup from Chicago, manufactured in Chicago, made him very happy. Made him extremely, extremely happy. So he appreciated the fact that I broke my promise and bought him syrup. 4 of these. One thing I appreciate, a handheld fan. A handheld fan. I appreciate one of these things. I did not think how much I would appreciate one of these guys, but I do. I think it's the greatest thing ever. Never had one while I lived in the United States, but this is like my favorite thing. We also, the holiday season, to know that Christmas starts in September, and I don't have to be like this freak of nature because I put up my tree in September. I love it. I absolutely love it. And last week we got our first Christmas carolers, which just made me, I've never had Christmas carolers. So it's all these little things that we honestly appreciate, that we are just kind of enjoying and having like the best time. Last year we lived in Makati, and we made sure that we showed our appreciation and got a bunch of treats for the guards and the people who worked in the building. And this year we live in a neighborhood, so getting little treats for people, putting them together every time we get a delivery and giving them little like special little treats, and then throwing in some pesos inside the bag is super, super special, because we not only want to be the only ones who appreciate things, we want to make sure we show our appreciation to all of the people around us, because honestly, I just feel like we have become better people because we have lived in the Philippines, we are living in the Philippines, and we look forward to having our future, our retirement years in the Philippines. So anyway, thank you so much for hanging out, listening, and I hope to catch you later. Bye.